Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Adriana. This is Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT, your online course. And if I remember correctly, you've also paid for my additional service. It's the diagnostic corrective feedback service offered for Speak Clearly lessons 7 through 24 and 26 through 47, and I allow you to post up to 3 different responses per day at my VoxyPop discussion group. And today it looks like you have 2 things going on. First of all, you're doing a independent TOEFL speaking practice test, and second of all, you're doing some pronunciation exercises. So my job now is to try to give you some feedback in these 2 areas. So first of all, I want to go ahead and listen to your entire speech one time without stopping. I'll take a few notes and then I'm going to play it again and make some comments.
Personally speaking, my preferred means of communication is the telephone because it's easy and convenient and because it's been helping me to avoid miscommunication. Firstly, using the telephone for keeping in touch with friends and family, it's easy and convenient as long as the only thing I need to do is just picking up the phone and dialing their numbers. However, if I would use written letters or emails, I would rely on post office schedule or computers. Secondly, using the telephone helps me to avoid miscommunication. For instance, talking with my friends over the phone, I can clarify any doubts I can have in real time, and this makes me prefer the telephone.
Okay, so now let's play it one more time. And you actually did make some changes, and you've corrected some of those grammar problems that you were having. So you were having some problems using the gerund, I think, as a subject, and you were putting a double subject in there when it wasn't needed. So it looks like you've corrected that problem. You have a good, strong organization in the beginning. So let's listen to it bit by bit, and I'll give you some comments as I go.
Personally speaking, my preferred means of communication is the telephone because it's easy and convenient and because it's been helping me to avoid miscommunication.
So how about this? It helps me to avoid miscommunication. So easy and convenient, you probably can just say convenient because it's convenient. It is convenient and helps me to avoid miscommunication. But that is your topic statement. That's good. That sets up your speech. I know what's going to happen next.
Firstly,
so then you use the transition firstly or first, right? And that helps me know that you're now going to discuss the first key point of your speech.
Using the telephone for keeping in touch with friends and family.
I would say using the telephone to keep in touch, not for keeping in touch. Probably use the infinitive there as opposed to using the gerund.
It's easy and convenient as long as the only thing I need to do is just picking up the phone and dialing their numbers.
I would say is just to pick up the phone, or is just pick up the phone and dial. So again there, it looks like you're having some problems a little bit differentiating between infinitives and gerunds. So that's kind of a small error.
However, if I would use written letters or emails, I would rely on post office schedule or computers.
Now that was good hypothetical. If I would use means you're not, right? So that was actually good grammar. You're talking about what's called present impossible conditions. So that was good on your part to do that. Now the pacing in that part, the blending, was not good. You're pausing too much after each word. Let's listen to that one more time. Let's go back just a little bit.
Emails, I would rely on post office schedule or computers.
You hear that? There's too many pauses in there, so you got to work on your blending a little bit more.
Secondly, using the telephone helps me to avoid miscommunication.
Okay, this is good. So you said firstly, then you said secondly.
For instance, talking with my friends over the phone, I can clarify any doubts I can have in real time, and this makes me prefer the telephone.
So it makes me prefer the telephone. So the T and the P sound, you're still trying to work on these sounds a little bit. So these sounds are a little bit hard for you. Okay, so how would you score here? Let's take a look. If I take a look at, I think it was a good speech. And there's no perfect speech out there. There is really no 30 out of 30. I don't think even a native speaker can be perfect. But the good thing is you can still score high even though you have some minor problems. So if I take a look at the rubrics for the independent speaking tasks, okay, so let's take a look at it. So if you get 40 or 30 out of 30, it says, you speak clearly with fluid expression of ideas with minor pauses and difficulties with pronunciation or intonation. However, these don't affect your intelligibility. You use effective grammar and vocabulary with natural sounding expressions and structures. It says you have minor or systematic errors which do not affect the meaning of your ideas. Topic development, you have a well-organized and developed response. I'm going to say you'll probably score below 30 or 4 out of 4. You have some minor language issues, some minor delivery issues. So I'm going to say you're probably, I would say based on this speech, you're probably pretty close to 26 out of 30. So 3.33 out of 4.0 or 26 points out of 30 on this one. So I think what you want to be careful about is be careful about your use of gerunds and infinitives. You can Google them if you Google gerunds and infinitives, how to use them. Unfortunately, they are pervasive. They are all over the English language, and we use them all the time. So you're struggling a little bit with that. They're also known as verbals. Okay, let's keep going. So now we've talked about your speaking task a little bit. Now we want to get to some of the pronunciation exercises that you're working on. So the one is practice exercises for the fan versus van consonant sounds. So let me go ahead and get into my book here and find those sounds and see the exercises that you're working on. So it's the F and the V. Here it is, okay. I think I can find it here in just a minute. Okay, we got it. So we're looking at the F and the V consonants. So I'm going to follow along with you as you do your exercise. Okay, here we go.
Half of the thieves have turned off the faucet that leads to the fine wine.
Okay, that's pretty good.
The vines and fans were left in the van and will be banned from further use.
Okay, let's work on that one there. Vines, van. So again, vines, van, and then banned from further use. So let's do all the words together. Vines, fans, left, van, from, further.
A few very large ferries are believed to have transported berries and leaves to be used as compost.
Wasn't bad. Still, the V is a little bit hard for you. Very, very.
Due to his failure to save his friend from a lifetime of illness, Fred finally figured to let the doctors operate, but to no avail.
There, be careful of that R sound. Operate, not operate, but operate, operate.
It is safe to save veal and wafers until one decides to give a waiver to those who feel like they do not want to eat.
It's not bad. You left out that preposition it. Eat it. Okay, let's read them together now. Number one, half of the thieves have turned off the faucet that leads to the fine wine. 2. The vines and fans were left in the van and will be banned from further use. 3. A few very large ferries were believed to have transported berries and leaves to be used as compost. Number 4. Due to his failure to save his friend from a lifetime of illness, Fred finally figured to let the doctors operate, but to no avail. Number 5. It is safe to say veal and wafers until one decides to give a waiver to those who feel like they do not want to eat it.
What is interesting is that research
Okay, so now you're reading a academic reading passage which are targeting these specific sounds.
have continued Pavlov's experiment with classical conditioning using other subjects such as people.
Okay, not bad. Pavlov.
They discovered humans are conditioned to very similar methods.
Be careful, the word are conditioned. Are conditioned.
For example, after a sound was continually combined with eating potato chips, college students came to salivate in reaction to the sound alone. Researchers have learned that many different organisms can be conditioned to respond to practically any stimuli such as light, sound, or taste.
Hey, that was good pacing and tone on the last part. So if you have like 3 items in a row, you have A, B, and C. You have lights, sounds, and tastes. And then you drop your tone on the very last one. Okay? So let's keep going. Let's go ahead and read it together now. It says, what is interesting is that researchers have continued Pavlov's experiments with classical conditioning using other subjects such as people. They discovered humans are conditioned to very similar methods. For example, after a sound was continually combined with eating potato chips, college students came to salivate in reaction to the sound alone. Researchers have learned that many different organisms can be conditioned to respond to practically any stimuli, such as light, sounds, or tastes. All right. Okay, hold on for just a sec. I'll be right back. Okay, let's go ahead and get to lesson number 15. And I had to go check on my 4-year-old. My wife went shopping, and I'm in charge of my 4-year-old, Adriana. And I went into his room. He's been in his room taking a nap, right? So I go in there. Of course, guess what? He's completely naked. And the whole room is a mess. He's taking pieces of paper and tearing them up in very small pieces, and he's throwing them all over the room. So I'm going to be busy after I talk to you cleaning his room up. All right, let's go to lesson number 15. So you're working on the H and what's called the glottal stop sound. So let me find those. These two sounds, the glottal stop, can be a little bit difficult for some students, but let's see if you have any problems with it. So I'm going to go ahead and find the exercise. Okay, here it is. So it's after the S and the Z. So I'm going to find it right now. Okay, here we go. We got it. So if I remember correctly, if we take a look at the glottal stop, typically, it's kind of like the T in the middle of a word, but typically a lot of native speakers, we don't really produce or pronounce that particular sound. For example, we have mountain or mountain. We have Batman or Batman, that. So let's see how you do with this. So you're going to do, I think, the sentence completion
In
exercises.
particular, the advantage of rehab on horse's retina is that the horse remotely has the chance of obtaining full eyesight after being blinded by lightning.
Okay, I think that H sound is a little bit hard for you. So horse, horse, horse's retina, rehab.
The health in Montley's hand was lost because his company was not able to provide him a lucrative healthcare policy to cover the surgery.
So that sound, the H sound, seems to be a little bit difficult. So you're not used to that sound. So keep practicing this exercise a little bit more and focus in this chapter a little bit more, so you become a little bit more familiar with this sound.
Consequently, the high cost of the electricity was so huge.
Be careful your word stress. It's consequently, not consecutively. So it's consequently. The stress is on the first syllable, not the second.
That the investors in the company were entirely caught off guard. Bringing happiness.
I don't know about that one. I think you had some big problems with this. Let me go back a little bit. Listen to that again.
That the investors in the company were entirely caught off guard. Bringing.
No, it's the high cost of the electricity was so huge that the investors in the company were entirely caught off guard.
Happiness to all who read that the California condor would no longer be brought to extinction.
There would be brought, not brought, but brought.
Footnotes on the bottom of the page were perhaps the most fruitful part of the research paper.
Okay, not bad.
Intellectuals, however, shop at the Gottschalk's department store.
Interesting. So you said shop at the Gottschalk's department store, but there's no the in there. So be careful. Let's work on it together now. Let's go to number 1. I want you to read these sentences with me. In particular, the advantage of the rehab on a horse's retina is that the horse remotely has a chance of obtaining full eyesight after being blinded by lightning. 2. The health in Motley's hand was lost because his company was not able to provide him a lucrative health care policy to cover the surgery. Consequently, the high cost of the electricity was so huge that the investors in the company were entirely caught off guard. 4. Bringing happiness to all who read that the California condor would no longer be brought to extinction. The footnotes in the bottom of the page were perhaps the most fruitful part of the research paper. 5. Intellectuals, however, shop at Gottschalk's department store. Alright, so I think based on that, you still need a little bit more practice with the H sound. So keep working on that sound a little bit more. Okay, now we're getting into the academic reading passage.
Martin Luther King Jr. synthesized ideas drawn from many different cultural traditions. Born in Atlanta, known for Stone Mountain Park, on January 15, 1929, King's roots were in the African American Baptist Church. He was the grandson of the Reverend A.D. Williams, pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, and the founder of Atlanta's National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP chapter.
Hey, good job on the acronyms. NAACP, exactly. You see what I'm talking about? A lot of students say, well, Michael, why do you have me read these academic passages? Well, it's getting you more used to the sounds and the spelling patterns of American English. That's a good thing, right? You're doing a good job on this one.
And the son of Martin Luther King Sr., who succeeded Williams as Ebenezer's pastor and also became a heavily engaged civil rights leader.
This is a little bit tough for you. So a heavily engaged civil rights leader. So it was having that R and the L in the two words, one after the other, was a little bit hard for you. So try it again. Civil rights leader. Again, civil rights leader. Okay, now Let's read it together. Martin Luther King Jr. synthesized ideas drawn from many different cultural traditions. Born in Atlanta, known for Stone Mountain Park on January 15, 1929, King's roots were in the African American Baptist Church. He was the grandson of the Reverend A.D. Williams, pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church and a founder of Atlanta's National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP chapter, and the son of Martin Luther King Sr., who succeeded Williams as Ebenezer's pastor and also became a heavily engaged civil rights leader. All right, so there we go. So in this particular exercise, you did a TOEFL independent speaking task, and you completed 2 of my pronunciation exercises from my online TOEFL course, and you're doing well. The main thing for you is I have no doubt that you have very good fluency, you're speaking pretty clearly. The main thing is as you talk more and you practice these academic reading patches a little bit more, it'll be easier for you when you get on the TOEFL and you start doing the integrated speaking task. You will find it much easier to speak about those kinds of things because you will already be used to doing that, and your pronunciation is going to get better, right? So I can still tell you're a non-native speaker, right? I'm not going to lie to you, but I think that you're getting better and you are speaking more clearly, which is exactly what I'm trying to help you do, and that's exactly what you are doing.